Okay, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Nick Taylor into the interview room, our defending champion here at the WM Phoenix Open. Nick, welcome back. If we can get some comments on recollections of winning this tournament here in your hometown last year.
Yeah, it's been a fun year to kind of reminisce. I guess coming back here, I do practice here a lot of bit, so I've been here since when I won last year, but really the last 2 years, the experiences of kind of being in the final group, the crowds are always incredible, and to have that atmosphere and be able to pull out last year after being so close the year before was amazing. So it's been nice to kind of run on that high and have some success to start this year as well.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that success, winning the Sony Open in Hawaii, and how much that sets you up for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I was only in the first 2 signature events, so it really opened up my schedule, the majors obviously. So to kind of end the year, didn't play my best, but to be able to kind of start the year, regroup in the off season and do well was great.
All right, we'll open it up to questions. If you raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. Yep, let's go to the back left.
Nick, I know after the Sony, you talked about the idea of the Mr. Playoff and what you feel in those moments. This obviously being one of those spots last year. If you don't mind going over again, what are you feeling? And at a certain point, do you start to build belief when it happens enough that this is just what's going to happen? This is what I'm going to do?
I think, yeah, I guess you get confidence when you get in those situations, the more that you pull out successful outcomes. But, I'm just as nervous in those situations as probably anybody else. I feel like I have more clarity in those playoffs of what I'm trying to do. Anything you try to work in golf is, if you're over a swing or a putt and there's doubt or there's indecision, it's probably not going to end up well. And for some reason, in those situations, I have a lot of clarity and no doubt. And, not always that's going to have the best outcome, but for the putts to go in when they need to and the shots to pull off, it's been a lot of fun. So, of course, every time it happens, you get more confidence in that situation. And, it's been fun to be able to pull it out. And it's those situations, if they end the other way and I lose all 3 of those playoffs, it's obviously a different story of where my career is really at. So to be able to be on the other side of that every single time has really been a catapult of where my career's gone.
All right, let's go to Todd right here.
Kind of piggybacking on that with the putting and the rolling the putts, and does it seem like the hole gets bigger each time when you're rolling in successive putts like that? How does the confidence carry you?
Yeah, the confidence definitely carries me. I think it, again, those situations with the crowds, the intensity, it's fun rising those moments, and you kind of can feel the energy. And I think if I even look back to the Canadian Open, I feel like the Canadian crowd is definitely on my side, that it was more so that energy pushes me towards making those putts. And then the same thing, the other 2 playoffs, it's just, it's fun being those moments. You kind of relish it, and I think it locks you in and narrows you into your focus.
And then having just won a couple weeks ago, is there something you're carrying into now, trying to keep that streak going, top play?
Yeah, I obviously have a lot of good vibes coming back here from the last 2 years. Play this golf course a bunch, so my game feels really good. Winning, but having a couple weeks after that where, just playing solid golf. So I feel like I'm carrying that into here and a lot of good vibes when I come back.
All right, take a couple on the third row, and then we'll come up to Kevin.
Hey, Nick. Kind of similar to what they were saying, it's obviously very hard to win on tour, and you are pretty good at capitalizing on the opportunities when you're in contention. I think you've basically won every time you've been in the top 5 recently. So how does that speak to your mindset, just like when you're given those chances on Sunday? Because obviously for everyone out here, that's not necessarily often. So just, how does that speak to your mindset and how you just walk into Sunday knowing that you have a chance to win?
Yeah, I think, so much in golf is taking advantage of the opportunities that you're given. If it's anywhere from trying to get your PGA Tour card that I've had to deal with in the past, or keeping your card, or I feel like in those situations in the past, I've been able to take care of or take advantage of those opportunities. So again, I feel like I just have more clarity when I'm trying to win. It's not necessarily I'm stepping on the tee expecting to win or be there in the last few holes, but just get back to the simple things of the process. And I've done a really good job when I get in those moments. And a lot of things I'm working on with my team is trying to do that Thursday morning, which I know will get me in those positions more often, hopefully. But I've been able to take advantage when I have gotten those chances to try to win.
All right, let's take 2 over here on the left and then up to Kevin.
Right here. I read somewhere that you want to be that you would want to have been a college coach had you not be doing what you're doing right now. Kind of talk to me about that and if that's a possibility for you after. I don't want to be too premature, but after.
You know, I think when I've answered that question, I had such an amazing experience when I went to University of Washington with Matt Thurmond as my golf coach, and just how he impacted everyone on our team, how we became more mature with on the golf course, off the golf course. We had so much fun when we were there that my experience was so good that I think I always thought if playing didn't turn out, that was something that I wanted to do and try to have that impact on younger generation players that he did on me. So, yeah, I think I have a little involvement with the University of Fraser Valley, which is back in my hometown, Abbotsford, throughout the year. But it's something I'd definitely be interested in. But right now I'll keep playing as much as I can.
All right, Dan, and then Kevin.
I know how much you wanted to be on that team last year at Royal Montreal. Did missing out on that light a fire a little bit in this offseason?
For sure, yeah. I wanted to be on the team for sure. I think the months leading up to it, there was just probably too much pressure put on myself to try to prove myself to be on that team, even though I was obviously in the standings high enough where I had the potential to have a pick. But yeah, I regrouped kind of after, Memphis was disappointing, not making the top 50, and then right after that, obviously not getting a pick. So it was kind of a couple gut punches, and then just kind of reassessed. I didn't think I needed to reinvent the wheel with my golf game. It just felt like there was just some outside stuff I felt like the whole thing last year was trying to qualify for things. You're always looking ahead, which in golf is not a great thing. And just worked a little harder on the mental side, tried to tweak up a few things, mechanically in my golf swing, and it's never a guarantee for success when you come out, but to have a hot start has always been nice.
All right, Kevin?
You kind of alluded to there, and kind of, do you feel like you were like chasing it a little bit too hard? And are there times like now, I guess, after that experience that you can feel that you're trying to chase something too hard and trying to get ahead of that and kind of go back to center in a way?
Yeah, I think, talking with my wife, with my team, starting this year, taking that all out of it, I think we were excited to have a year where I was just playing a normal PGA Tour schedule. I wasn't trying to qualify for the Olympics. I wasn't trying to qualify for the President's Cup team and have that kind of in the back of your mind. It was just, let's just go play as good as I can and kind of stick to what I know is best for my game and my results. And so it was a good reset kind of in the off season. I played a little more than I wanted to, not that I played particularly great in the fall, but felt like I saw signs of the game coming back to where I wanted it to be. And so it's been nice to see the hard work pay off.
Why do you think it is that like chase can sometimes have a detrimental effect?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it was necessarily chase. I think it was like more of a protection type thing. And I know for me, when I play golf, if I'm trying to protect against bad things or protect a lead, it's not great for me. I'm better when I'm actually kind of trying to chase things down. So I think that's what I settled into last year, a lot of the last few months of trying to protect the spot I was in on the team or try not to play bad, which is never a good thing. So I've tried to learn as much as I can from it and hopefully not kind of settle back into that ever again.
I wanted to ask, too, I know you were on the pack with Josh Teeter last year. I don't know how well you know him, but he had a big breakthrough on the KFT last week, a 15-year victory drought. And what does it say about someone to just persevere through 400 starts between wins and get it done and just the uniqueness of that in this game?
Yeah, it's huge. I don't know Josh super well, but obviously we've been around each other a lot over the years. And I saw the interview, the emotion. Obviously, he was considering not even playing golf 2 months ago, and it's very impressive. I hope he keeps playing well, gets his card back because his story is great, and to have 400 starts in between wins is obviously quite a long time. So the perseverance is incredible.
All right, 2 in the back left, and then we'll go to MK in the middle.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor.
Hey.
You have the chance to go back-to-back this year, and Scotty Scheffler and Hideki Matsuyama, they won consecutively a few years ago. Is there anything from their games, their approach to the game, that you try to emulate when you're in this position?
Both are obviously incredible players, major champions. The way Scotty's played the last 2-3 years, there's a lot to emulate, or you want to emulate with him. Playing with him on Sunday 2 years ago, I think was definitely a shift in my career, really trajectory of not winning, but feeling like I could stack up at certain times, certainly with him. And Yeah, it's been a great 2 years since that tournament. So, even what Rory said last week, anything you're trying to do what Scotty's doing, you're probably going to be a better player for it if that's less mistakes. It's just being more precise with wedges, irons. But yeah, it'll be fun to play with Hideki this week, and he's obviously been playing great the last 6-7 months as well. So yeah, it'll be fun.
All right. Yep. Go ahead.
Hey, Nick. Hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I was kind of wondering, in your own words, if you could just kind of describe, just individually, what would you deem as like success for golfers from your own perspective? What would you define as success throughout the entire PGA tournament outside of just winning at the end? Like, just from an individual standpoint, I'm just kind of curious on that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I feel like you leave the golf course satisfied if the entire day you've made decisions and you're concise with those decisions and you've committed those decisions and you've the mental side of swing as freely as possible. Golf's really hard. The execution part is very difficult, but if you kind of leave each shot that you went through the process correctly, you went through it in a way that you're satisfied with that, and the execution can be good or bad. I think you leave satisfied that day. Obviously, you always want to win. You always want to have the best result possible, but there's a lot of bounces in this game that don't go your way, and a foot carry over bunker can go to tap and range for birdie, or it can plug in the lip and you make bogey. And some weeks they go their way, some days you don't. And it's amazing over the years how, for me personally, I look at it where there is those small bounces that you get when you do win, and you notice it, maybe more recently right after you win, that you just got to take it with how it comes, because sometimes you're on a stretch where you're in a few divots that tournament, or a few plug bunkers, and some weeks you get away with it. So if you can leave the course satisfied with your process of hitting the shots, I think you're leaving in a good spot.
All right. Two behind the camera. Start with MK.
Hey, Nick. Last year you mentioned it was a marathon of a week. How were you able to not only find a rhythm within all the stops and starts, but then prepare yourself for the perfect point on Sunday to say, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to press on the gas and do it?
Yeah, it was to start the week. At least the first couple of days, I remember I got the nice side of the draw. I think the Thursday morning was brutal with some wind, some rain, and so that was a nice break. And then playing really nicely that Friday, but I think I had 30 holes that day, so a lot of times it's a long day. But if you're playing well, the more holes you kind of want that day. And then the two things I remember they were just unique for that week was the turnaround from the finishing the round to reteeing. I remember I think I had 9 minutes, maybe 12 minutes between the third round and the fourth round, and you're kind of scrambling, not knowing what to do. Do I grab a quick bite? Do I run to the putting green, hit a couple putts? You can't really go to the range here, obviously, because it's kind of the walk down. And both times when I restarted doing that, I kind of was a little out of sorts, but able to kind of settle myself as the back nine came in, and obviously made a nice finish there. But it was an interesting week with having 2 days essentially playing 30 plus holes, so it was unique.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Nick. There's a lot of Canadian golf fans who come down for this tournament. How does the Canadian support compare at this tournament compared to other ones on tour, and how does that impact your play?
Yeah, it is great this week. Canadian fans are vocal, and it's awesome seeing them out here. I think the West Coast is definitely the best for, at least for me growing up on the West Coast. I get a lot of fans coming down, and the Canadian Open for us is second to none, but it's the West Coast tournaments definitely get a good turnout, so it's a lot of fun.
All right, a couple more back left, and then we'll come up to Kevin. Right here.
Nick, talking about the last 2 years, the second place and the win. Your previous 8 starts here were pretty ho-hum, I would say.
Or bad.
Or bad. I'm wondering if there's anything other than repetition, playing this course a lot outside of the tournament that sort of unlocked it for you.
Yeah, it was interesting for me to look at, because out of all the West Coast courses, it was one that I had never just had great results. And when I looked at it, really, it was mostly putting. I just had a really hard time reading these greens, and I think it probably was beyond frustration because I live here. I should see these greens. I should know them like the back of my hand. And they're so subtle out here. A lot of valley effect and this and that. And I think eventually I just said, I'm not thinking about any of that stuff. I'm just going to try to read it. Obviously, put a little more time in on the golf course, but and there's definitely, it's not a coincidence that Dave Markle, my caddy, his first waste management was 2 years ago, and I think early on, I remember the first round, we're kind of reading a putt, and I could tell he agreed with me, but maybe saw something a little different, and it was the same thing. I missed it where I was kind of reading it, and I was like, he's like, yeah, I saw a little more. I'm like, well, don't do that again. Just tell me where you see it, because I've had trouble here. And started to make some putts early in that first and second round. I think seeing the ball going in, getting more confidence with the reads has been all the difference. I think last year I was a 1 or 2 in putting for the week. So when I look at those first 8 years, it's a huge difference.
All right, Kevin?
This could be back a ways, but do you remember either the first time you played in front of a crowd or like was struck by fans watching you play?
Maybe junior tournament, something where there was maybe a few people. I do remember vividly my first Canadian Open when I was an amateur. That was in 2008. So that was kind of my first big experience with fans. The month prior to that, I qualified for the U.S. Open, and that was at Torrey Pines. So that was a whole new experience. That was people that I've never experienced in my life. And so, yeah, those were the first 2 like big ones. But it's something I don't think you ever necessarily get used to it. Like you do, but there's still nerves. That doesn't change. And especially if you get in the hunt and there are more people around, it's a fun feeling to get. But I think the more you do it, you just know how to kind of maybe manage the feelings and the sensations that you kind of get.
And the kind of back to my earlier kind of line of questioning about chasing and such, is there anything currently that you feel like you're chasing, whether it's a feel or a shot shape or distance or some stat or anything?
Not really. I think, like anyone, you kind of try to come back to center of just trying to get as good as you can be. I guess a lot of stuff I feel like on the golf course I try to work on is with the mental side is kind of having, an open look of the future of essentially in that round, anything's possible. I think in the past when I've struggled, it's, if I have a poor start, I try to script kind of, I got to birdie this hole, got to par this, do that, and trying to leave that open and just let things come. I think it's helped with kind of the acceptance part of golf, which you definitely need to be at a high level. And so that's kind of the stuff that I've been working on.
And I know you're a Seahawks fan. Do you watch a good amount of NFL? Or?
Yeah, I've definitely watched a decent amount. I've joined some buddies about 4 or 5 years ago in a fantasy league, so I watched probably more than my wife likes to admit, but it's been fun, yeah.
What's your take on the Chiefs and how they're so successful?
I know you're a Bills guy, so I can't... it's impressive. They get it done. That's the best way of putting it. They when they played the last couple of games, I had no stake in the game of fanning of whoever it was they were playing, but they've got some calls at the right time. So I'm sure as a Bills fan, it's been frustrating.
Not on the refs' take at all. I don't want to apply Scotty to this, but is there a tie between Scotty and the Chiefs in terms of you watch them play and you just feel like they'll find a way to get it done somehow?
Yeah, two Chiefs being at the top of the NFL the last years, I'm sure at times they haven't looked like the best team, and that's where I would compare where Scotty, Xander had an amazing run last year with the majors, but I feel like Scotty's kind of at the top of the golf podium, if you want to call it that, the last probably 2.5 years. So I'd give his consistency maybe a bit more of like how, I guess maybe the eye test versus and the results where, the Chiefs just keep winning. So it's impressive that way.
All right, good stuff. Nick, thank you for your time. Best
Thank
of luck
you.
this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.